Alright, well, I guess you were hearing omqwat talk, but you are a good sir, so you want to talk and explain this? Just to answer one question, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 was cancelled because there was a very big storm in Sweden apparently that knocked out his internet, so that's why we're jumping right to 2.
Okay.
But, yeah, so if you want to say anything, you can say so, and...
The main differences between the Japanese version, which I'll be playing, and the US version is there's way less enemies, and you can kill foot soldiers with a jump kick. And those are the biggest differences.
Yeah, no, it's really a weird one. So I'll count you down, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll say, I know timing starts a little bit weird on this one, just because on control. So we'll go here, and we'll say 3, 2, 1, go. So I'm not sure, I guess we should have asked this first. You want me to do most of the talking here? You just do the playing, or how much do you want to explain?
Yeah, you can probably talk quite a bit.
Well, this honestly is actually the game of how I met omqwat. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. And I think before I explain anything, there's an amazing redemption arc there, because a long time ago, this is the Japanese version, which I can change on the fly afterwards. He had a 3314, I believe, a long time ago in SRC, and that used to be the record in the Japanese version. And then, funny enough, everybody beat that time because that time sucked. So he went from first place down to like 17th or something like that. And then one day, this guy named omqwat decided to come back and play Turtles 2, and then he got the record back. So I think that is a fantastically cool redemption arc. He made it hard for the new generation. Very much an OG. He's been speedrunning ever since I learned how to do anything when it came to speedrunning. So, Turtles 2, really cool game. It's easier than you think it is, but at the same time it's also not, because these guys have optimized it into completely ridiculous, kind of like a threshold. A long time ago, to put that for an example, I used to have the record in the Japanese one, and the record used to be like 2803. And I traded it back and forth with a runner named Baze86, and I think Baze finished at 28-37. And in that time, we speculated, like if you had the absolute god run of your absolute life, you would probably finish with like a 27, maybe 20 something. So this new generation of runners, omqwat, and actually West Point Steve, and Pikachu, they all pushed it down to like sub 27, which is just ridiculous. And so the quick kill that omqwat just did was, technically it's a pixel perfect kill with the other turtles, but with Raphael, and why people use Raphael in the speedrun is because there's actually, like, I think it's just a straight up glitch. All the other turtles have like the same hitbox for at least like the end of their weapons, but for some reason Raphael's is 4 pixels a little bit longer. So that first quick kill becomes actually easy. Like it's very free, but if you do it with the other turtles, it's literally a 1 pixel window. So that was actually discovered by a streamer a long time ago named Cats on Your Head, and she was doing like a big 20 goal and she figured that out. And she just posted that accidentally, I think on Twitter or something, and everyone was like, what? And from there, that was it. Everybody just used Raphael from that point forward. So to kind of talk about what omqwat is doing, all the enemy spawns, like the soldiers and stuff like that, as far as I know from the tasks, they can spawn, like they're a really weird thing because they're not completely random, but at the same time they're essentially random, because very realistically you have to have basically like godlike consistent movement to manipulate them. And what you end up doing is, based on where they die, I guess on the pixel where they die or something like that, is how they spawn in on the screen when they come back. And it's like basically impossible to do that. So he also, one of the big changes, I guess, from the Japanese to the North American version is you can turn around like that. And there's 2 of 3 technically complete stun blocks here. So we'll see if he gets the bebop one. He does. So the bebop one, in my opinion, is a little bit easier. You can set it up from multiple different locations than Rocksteady. Rocksteady, you just have that 1 pixel, or technically 4 pixels, depending on where it is. And yeah, we're moving into the sewers. As we jumped into the sewer for maybe the only time in video game history on the NES era you have a transition from a stage to a stage that makes sense. Like normally you walk from like a factory and all of a sudden you're like in a sewer and it's like, how did this happen? You walk from a factory like in the clouds or something. It's like not right. So the sewer, if you want to say anything at all, this in my opinion is like the worst stage of the speedrun. Like there's almost nothing that goes on tech-wise in this level. You're just constantly waiting for the Mausers. You're constantly waiting on kind of shitty enemy spawns that are not great. So you want to pipe up.
Yeah, this level's pretty boring.
Yeah, like there's really not a lot that goes on here in terms of, I guess, like the skill or anything like that required. I guess on one footnote, a long time ago, before we were like completely optimized in this game, there is a way that Baxter, which is the boss of the third level, if he comes out on the screen, if you have a very bad, I guess at this point, like global timer, you can get patterns that are actually more beneficial than if you get here on a good global timer. And a good global timer, he'll kind of do like a figure 8, like if you can kind of like tilt your head to the side and look at the screen and imagine somebody drawing like an 8, you'll kind of see that's where Baxter Stockman will fly around. But if you had really, really, really terrible luck back then and like a terrible global, he would like float out onto the screen and just stand there, which is effectively the fastest way to kill him, but there's probably no way to get that global or pattern if you're actually good at the game. It was runners of old that were like, oh, this is the best pattern. But we didn't know back then, okay? We weren't Skunky or omqwat or these guys. See here. You see, it's kind of like in an H shape. It goes back and forth like this. So this is the good pattern, I would say, if you're on a good pace that makes sense according to the stage timer and stuff. It's a very good kill.
Alright, there's a manip you can do at the beginning of the stage. I'll see if I can hit it.
Right, you can explain it after, because I kind of know what you're talking about, because it's obviously with the snowman, but I don't know completely. But this stage in particular is, I guess, like your first real introduction to, I would say, enemy RNG that specifically matters. Because there's these kind of like giant army snowmen that will appear on screen pretty quickly here. There's one less, I think, in the Japanese version. There's one more in the North American version, but the Japanese version one, we'll see here what happens. So, okay. So yeah, they're really annoying because depending how they jump and the iframes that they have, sometimes they can just waste a colossal amount of time jumping around like that. They also aren't guaranteed to spawn to one side, so even though omqwat got triple left side there, it's entirely possible that they can spawn left, right, left, for example, so you have to jump around even more. It doesn't sound like that matters, but I promise it does on at least the paces that omqwat can run it, because at that point, like, you're losing seconds in a game, it's really hard to recover that. And it's really at that point now, it's like you need all of the enemies that kind of spawn like that to be all one side, and we'll talk about the scorpions a little bit later on.
Yeah.
How they basically like break and make runs at this point, but... so the boss in this stage is a guy named Tora. I saw Skunky in chat. It's really funny. Skunky was a crazy person originally when he learned this game, because he actually learned, I don't even know how Skunky did it, but he learned how to basically like run the entire game using a metronome in the background to determine what pattern Tora would give you when you got to Tora from the beginning of the game. And that shook a lot of heads back then. People were like, I guess like you run this game with the metronome if you want to do it completely optimally. But that was super cool. So we'll see here. Okay, we're doing the dive kick stun lock. So that is, I think, kind of like regardless of any kind of like global or anything that you could have right now, this always works. So this is slower than any pattern that you can manipulate, but this is obviously what you would do if you're not running a metronome in the background, or your name isn't Skunky48.
Yeah, you can kill him with all specials, but it's really hard.
Yes, and you have to alternate very specifically too. Otherwise you'll get hit. Specials in this game are really weird because of the iframes. So, for talking about kind of like old time history, what's really funny is when I had the record, I started noticing something with people on SRC because I named my splits, and people, I guess, were pretty lazy back then because they would take the names of the splits and they would 100% copy them. So I just named this one Highway or something like that back then. But what I didn't do is this level is technically 3 different levels before you see another boss. And the way that I timed it back then was boss to boss. So this split for a new generation of runners was like 7 or 8 minutes compared to all the other splits that are like 3 minutes. And I always thought that was kind of funny in retrospect. Like the split doesn't end. You're like, why, man? Where's the boss? So in retrospect, I probably could have separated these levels. Yeah. So this stage is a really weird one too. It's kind of funny to see kind of like the stages back to back because I wouldn't consider this as a hard stage, but it leads into like one of the most inconsistent stages in my opinion before the dojo, at least in Turtles 2, and it's like the actual highway level. So it's kind of silly to be. Kind of silly to see rather.
Yeah, this level's a nice break between the snow level and the highway.
Yes, like the snow level is like I think your first kind of like big variation, and then the highway is kind of maddening with what can go on there. So this is Baxter Stockman mutant form, and he's got a very easy stun lock where you can kind of go like this, and as long as the balls are kind of like passing you down like that, you won't trade. If you, in theory, special attack him extremely early right now, you will get hit out of this little stun lock thing, but he is one of 4 bosses in this game who can truly stun lock. So we'll see. Oh, the greed! I saw that! I appreciate it. The frames were saved. So, we have this beautiful cutscene where April saves us, drives off, and then immediately crashes and almost kills us all. Oh, whoops, spoilers. Sorry. So we're on the highway level. This is, I think, the first kind of like super annoying level for enemies in particular. These spear guys that are coming out, they can sometimes jab you in such a way that obviously you lose a bunch of time. And these other guys that would be bomb enemies that throw bombs, they're also pretty annoying. The hammer guys aren't that bad. And then we also have some packs of roadkill Rodneys where if you don't manipulate these guys properly to kind of group them as omqwat just did, you actually lose a bunch of time there too because they just drive around and they waste a lot of time. So these little dynamite guys that are tossing dynamite, they are pretty annoying, honestly. They can be pretty annoying. More so the bomb guys. They're like literally holding nuclear bombs or something. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But the dynamite guys are programmed to stay away from you and then toss the explosion. So these guys are annoying. You can definitely get knocked around if you're not careful or if like one of the bombs explodes you. Motorcycle guys, also kind of annoying. So you can just kind of see like this stage adds up. You didn't like that guy on the bike, huh? You just... he had to die, that one particular guy. So we have no boss, as I said, coming up. I guess if you really want to consider it, there's a tire boss. That's the last thing you see in this stage before, before the stage is done. It's literally a stack of tires. So we lead into kind of like annoyance number 2. These helicopters can spawn in fast or slow, and they can also spawn in high or low. So it's completely random as far as I know on how they spawn in. And this is a slow one, so you can kind of see it's like moving in really slowly. If it's moving in slow, as far as I know, and you can definitely correct me, there's basically like a variable height that you can special slash. And if you push A and B immediately, if it's spawning in slow, I honestly can't remember if you can hit that, or if it's spawning in high, that's when you have to time A-B.
No, you can't hit them with a low special.
Okay. Both high and low, or just the high one?
I think both.
Okay, so you have to manually time all of these slashes then.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I couldn't quite remember that one, but I just know that it's very easy to miss time, and also the helicopters have like a gigantic hitbox in terms of like their own damage against you. And this is what I was trying to say. We get saved by April, and then she immediately endangers everybody. It's like, thank you, April. I mean, I guess if you were waiting for a turtle to board your van as you were driving the van forward, it's pretty fast, you know. Your eyes wouldn't necessarily be on the road. So, a long time ago when Pika took the record, who is an amazing speedrunner from Ukraine, his record specifically in the Japanese version, there's like these things that are coming up. There's like, I don't know what you call them, like phasers, like electric beams or something like that. They're right after this pack of blue enemies. Pika in his record that was almost flawless otherwise stepped in the electricity stuff here like 5 times in a row. Like that. He just consistently kept getting shocked over and over, and we're like, okay, Pika. Like, very strange area there. But it made his record, I think, really funny. Like, his run was so perfect otherwise, he just kept getting shocked there. So, coming up, we have kind of like these little drone enemies. They are specifically pretty annoying too. There was a lot of kind of like science and research that went into these things and like the best way to kill them back then. And it was largely agreed that there was a couple different methods, so I'm kind of curious to see what omqwat goes for, but basically, the fastest way that you can kind of group them is you can hit 2, and you can basically hit them all. And kill them in just a couple of cycles here without them moving around too much. But it's pretty precise to do this, so I'll see here. Because you turn around and you hit. Okay, so that was a decent first pack. You ideally want to turn. Okay, so that's very intentional, I take it, the way that you do it.
Yeah. What they do at the bottom there is random, so if they split up, there's not anything I can do about it.
Okay, I see. Because there is some ways that we figured out originally, but I don't know if that was North America exclusive, like Japanese exclusive or anything. So we have Granitor. Granitor is a weird one because if you time this properly, you can technically jump every single, I guess, like forward swing that he has here. And there was always kind of a contentious debate. I don't know if it ever got settled because some people were saying that you waste more time jumping than if you do spamming in the corner and taking a hit. So I'm not sure which crowd was right in the end because I don't think anybody ever tasked it. But it's kind of silly because as ineffective as you think that standing in the corner and spamming would be in this game to kill a boss, it's actually highly effective in terms of some of the fastest strategies that you can do to kill a boss. So we kind of like missed the boat on fancy quick kills and stuff like that on at least some of these bosses. So, dojo. What is one word that you would use to describe the dojo?
Fair.
Okay. This is the best part of the speedrun. Depending if you are on the North American or Japanese version, it's essentially the same. You get here about 20 minutes in, but a little bit faster, obviously, the Japanese version. And the best part about this is all of the RNG and terrible shit happen in this split. So you're like 20 minutes in and it becomes an actual reset point. The tigers are kind of annoying. There are very specific setups that are within, you know, like a couple of pixels range that you can always quick kill the tigers consistently. But the big enemy that's super annoying is scorpions. And to put that also into perspective, a long time ago, when the record was still, you know, like going down 27 whatever at a time, 2750, 2740, we saw record submissions that sometimes had tiger sections, or sorry, scorpion sections that literally had like 20 seconds wasted. And people were still setting times, and then sometimes people would just get like godlike scorpions. So the big thing about the scorpions is they have horrible hitboxes. It is incredibly easy for the scorpions to hit you. Omqwat? Okay. Okay, very good tiger kill. There's two ways that you could have done that. You could have stayed there and slashed, or you could have allowed the tiger to hit him. There's another way that you can set up this one, so you just slash. Good job. That's a pretty tight window. It's a couple pixel window. So
yeah, I was kind of nervous about the tigers.
yeah, that's a good one. So these guys can spawn left or right side, depending on the scorpions. You really want them to all spawn on the right side, and you want them to spawn in such a way that as you're killing the tiger, or the scorpion, I know the difference between tigers and scorpions, I promise. As you're killing the scorpions, you want them to spawn in on top of each other, and then they just keep dying like that. So that was not a great scorpion pattern, but you almost never get good scorpion patterns. A long time ago, I know Baze did the math, and he said the god scorpions, where they all spawn one side and they die in front of each other, was about a 1 in 50 chance to him. I don't know where his math came from. I can tell you, we like Baze a lot. I don't know if he's the strongest mathematician in the world, but I trust his math. So if he said it was a 1 in 50 chance, it was probably a 1 in 50 chance. But if this stage wasn't terrible enough, we end the fight with Shogun. And Shogun has a bunch of stuff going on. He basically loses his head like every 4.2 seconds, or he's programmed to lose his head. The only things that prevent him from losing his head, if he's in the middle of a hit, or if he's swinging his axe down. So the best strategy, oh good job. So there is a way that you can stun lock him, but it's more so from the left side. Okay, there we go. We have typical Shogun. And yeah, so basically if he's swinging his weapon, he won't lose his head, otherwise his head will fly off every 4 seconds. And Shogun is just an awful boss. He's not a great boss.
Yeah, he's pretty mean.
Yeah, he is a source of basically probably like 90 summer sets in this. Easy 90% or higher, I would say. Like there's so many paces that just get wrecked by Shogun and you reset. So ideally you can kill him and he keeps his head on, but there's a very tricky way that I think I only saw Pika go for in actual attempts, where you can actually fully stun lock Shogun. But that's borderline lunacy in terms of RTA, it's very difficult. So we're entering the Technodrome. This is a weird one. It's kind of a gauntlet, or it's supposed to be a gauntlet. But I would say like the first part of the Technodrome is kind of free, and then the last part kind of gets annoying for time loss. So it's a weird combination of a level. There's nothing really threatening in this first little area. Funny enough, there's a couple of glitches in this game that they're kind of obscure. Like there's not a whole lot of people that I think would know about them. One of the ones, actually, I guess you can mention on this boss that's coming up, is Trog. If you like slash the door, I know you found that one. What happens there?
Yeah, I don't even understand what happens there. You just get like a bunch of points.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like an Easter egg or if like a legitimate glitch, but if you slash the door that the boss is about to break out of, you get a huge amount of points and like multiple lives and stuff, so it's a really weird thing. But I was gonna say the other glitch is actually in this level too, and there's kind of like an elevator section that's coming up. A little bit too soon, I guess.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, okay. Now there's the elevator section coming up. But at the bottom of this elevator section, there's a piece of pizza. And as far as I know, it might be the only pizza that you can walk into with 2 players, and you can duplicate the piece of pizza. So you can both eat the same pizza at the same time. I don't know if you can,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do that with other pieces, but it's actually easy to line up here because you're both like on the same basically x-axis. So you can like line yourself up with the elevator and then you can do it that way. So another thing that people never completely went for, as far as I know, is if you grab that pizza and you don't take any damage whatsoever, like not even one little hit or anything like that, it is possible to quick kill Trag coming up in a very specific way that you're trading damage. You have to alternate 3 slashes. And you hit him for 3 slashes, and you have to have like absolutely 100% full health, because if you take even like one little hit, or like omqwat was hit for just not even any damage, like a foot soldier just kind of hit him and then he walked away. You can't actually do that quick kill anymore. So I know Baze and I kind of experimented with that a long time ago. Yeah, this is General Treg. He is awkward. So sometimes you can hit him 3 times before he decides to hit you. Sometimes you can hit him like that, like 5 times. I don't know if he's exactly on a global timer, or like what makes him decide to do that, but he is the source of probably frustration for the first kind of like serious, I would say, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles runners, because like Baze and I tried to figure out, and we have still like 8 different recorded quick kills for this guy, and nothing is faster than just sitting, thank you Air Canada, sitting in the corner and just spamming special slash. So we have Krang. Krang is a staple in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and obviously in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles speedruns, Krang is a piece of shit. He is super annoying with this kick. He can kick seemingly at random too. Ideally, you can kill Krang in 1 health bar without dying. Usually it's not the case though. Krang has to be feeling particularly generous that day. So,
yeah, that's very rare.
Yeah, I would say it's like maybe like 1 out of 20 or something. Usually you kill him like this and he dies maybe like 2 or 3 more health pellets, but he has to be feeling pretty generous to allow for 1 cycle.
That wasn't bad.
No, that was pretty good. And coming up we have Shredder, and weirdly enough this quick kill came from, I guess, like the first kind of records that I set in this game like 5 years ago, and nobody ever changed it, so I always thought that was kind of silly. But I figured out that you can kind of like loop him forever this way, and how you tell the Shredders apart is it's kind of hard to tell on omqwat side because you already kind of like stun locked him. So Shredder will continue swinging the sword indefinitely until he's dead, as long as omqwat doesn't get knocked out of it. Which honestly, this is not free. Like it requires some deal of precision and reaction, because realistically, he can swing his sword kind of, I would say, not completely randomly, but sometimes it's a lot faster than you think it would be. And if you're caught in the middle of a dive kick, you'll just go flying off. So I figured out this quick kill a very long time ago. Nobody ever changed it, but it's apparently a really fast way to kill Shredder. It actually gets rid of a lot of weirdness in this kind of like fight. But if both Shredders are walking around, the slow one is the real one, and the fast one is the fake one. That's how you'd be able to tell. So the fast one, if you attack it, his helmet flies off and he'll respawn another clone. The real one, at some point his helmet will fly off, and then it's only, I think it's 7 hits after that. It's 7 dive kicks anyway to kill him, and that would be time. So sub 27, which is ridiculous. That's
wow.
Pretty 26:55. That's pretty ridiculous.
That's a really good marathon time.
Dude, that's amazingly good. Like the only thing, like you couldn't even say like Shogun was bad. You can just say Krang was average and Shogun was average, but like that was solid.
Yeah, that was very good. I think only 3 people have a sub 27.
They do, yeah. Like, I don't want to say like a generational thing in this sense, because like clearly you as a speedrunner preceded me. Not preceded, sorry. Like you were there before me. But like Baze and I and everybody else that kind of ran Turtles when we ran it, nowhere close to 27. So much less sub 27 is ridiculous. Like we all peaked at around maybe like 27. Well, I guess it was 28 because Baze finished at 20-7. I finished at 20-3, and then we never chose to take it lower. But our sums of best at the time were like 27-30 or something. So I guess it could have happened, but no way sub 27 was a thing in our cards back then. So to have it in a marathon setting is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm super happy with that.
That was a sick run. Good job, man. Yeah, definitely go check out omqwat. Literally ridiculously good in so many games. And he's actually going to do Turtles 3 right after. So, but he is a god. Like his swan song is Turtles 3. Anything you feel like saying? Otherwise, I can switch us off and get ready for Turtles.
No, we can just start switching over to 3.
Sure. I can do that. And just give me a sec here, and I'll do that. So actually, we were smart. See, look at that. Oh no, we weren't smart. we were like 90% smart. So we just have to recapture and then we can do that. Turtles 3 is gonna have the same borders, I take it? Everything is the same.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure, maybe just load that one. We are still live, by the way. I didn't mute our mics. Hello, chat!
Hello.
I was very, very, very sick of it that time.
Alright, thank you. Alright, let's jump into it. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, Turtles 3 is a lot scarier than Turtles 2. Because the main method of attack is the special, and in this game the special drains your health. But it can't kill you, so most of the run I will be at 1 health. Yeah, those guys can be jerks. The Japanese version of this game lets you start off with 3 more lives than the US version, so we have a little bit of leeway to die a couple more times. but not too much because we die on purpose to switch turtles at several points. Rocksteady's pretty easy. You can just stand slightly below him and special him and he can't hit you. This level is like half auto-scroller, half not. It also lags a ton. I die here on purpose to reduce the lag from all of these like orb things on screen. Will lag the screen a ton. And then I'm also switching turtles anyway, so it's a convenient spot to die. The mini boss is those helicopters and they just die immediately. This level's pretty easy. You just mostly have to stand in the right spot and just special with Leo. There's a quick call on the boss that I'll go for, but he can give you a really weird pattern that makes it almost impossible to get, so we'll see what he does. Alright, I almost messed it up, but managed to get it. If you don't kill him, he'll go up and grab the pipe and break it off, and then start swinging it at you. So if you can skip that, it saves like 3 seconds. The rock soldiers are the worst enemies in the game. They have huge hitboxes, and they won't come out all the way under the screen if you're too close to the edge of the screen. Slash is a mid-boss here, and usually he just stands there while you kill him. Just like that. Alright, for Bebop, you just stand here, and he can't hit you. And you win. Alright, I die here on purpose so I can switch back to Wrath. If you respawn too early, you can actually soft lock the game there. You can just grab these sewer guys as soon as they spawn like that. If you do it too early, you'll get hit though. Yeah, this level is probably the the third hardest, which you probably wouldn't expect with it being the fourth stage, but there's a lot that can go wrong. Well, it's pretty long, and there's lots of enemies. There's lots of rock soldiers. Like, here's a bunch, and they have huge hitboxes. So usually you have 1 life there, but since I died, I had a little bit of life there, which is kind of nice. Alright, now we go down into the subway and kill a couple more things, and then fight the boss. These guys are scary. Alright, we take another intentional death to switch to Dawn, because he can wreck this boss, and he's really good at the next stage. That's a really good fight. The sewer is weird because you have this split here, so you have to go down to the bottom of the screen and kind of contend with the ledge there, which can make the movement kind of weird. These fly things are really annoying if you let them fly around, but you can just kill them when they spawn. There's mousers in the sewers in this game, too. Alright, here's Mother Mouser. Oof, she almost hit me. Alright, now we get to fight Leatherhead, who's probably the second worst boss, casually, next to Krang. But I found a pretty cool kill with him, with Don, so... But he can do some weird stuff, so hopefully he behaves. That wasn't very clean, but at least it didn't hit us. Ideally, you get a couple more hits when he's against the wall, but it's random. We drain our health a bunch because we're going to switch back to Wrath. And this just happens to be a really good spot. These things are terrible if you don't kill them immediately. They just fly around everywhere, and they're impossible to hit. Those guys are also really scary. There's a wave later in the game where there's 5 of them, and it's pretty terrifying. Alright, we die here intentionally to switch to Leo, because he's much better for the bosses. No, I don't think anyone will ever figure out those death warps. I think that was just a weird one-off thing. Alright, we get our first double boss battle. And first we have Razar. Alright, normally that goes a little different, but that wasn't too bad. Alright, this is the scariest boss fight in the game. Yeah. That's why. He can just shift his plane suddenly and just hit you. Leo is also really good here. You can just spawn camp everything that comes. We die again on purpose to switch to Raph because he's really, really good for this next half of the stage. That elevator is actually on a really annoying frame roll, so you usually lose 4 seconds there. If you stand here, the Hepnoc to these Zapper things can't hit you, so you can just kill them right when they spawn. Toka can give you really weird patterns, but he gave me a really good pattern. Alright, I'm gonna take an intentional game over at the start of this stage. Actually, I'll get a life. Maybe I'll do it the next stage. Spaceship is the scariest level in the game. It's split into 2 parts. And the first part has a boss, and then the second part has the last 2 bosses. Another intentional death to switch back to Wrath. Alright, this is just Mother Mouser again with a color swap. Okay, that was terrifying. It's 1 hit away from game over. So now I'll just take an intentional game over and get a life refill. Luckily, even doing that's pretty quick. And now we're set up for the rest of the run. There's no real danger of a game over now. All right, that was the scary group I mentioned before, but luckily they played well. I take another intentional death here just to get a life refill. Alright, we have Crane coming up who is just impossible. So we'll see how it goes. It's really up to him. But we finally get to see Mikey. Alright, that was a really good fight. I only got hit once, and it wasn't too bad. When he splits apart there, the Lex can just start kicking around like crazy. And you can just get knocked around. And it gets terrible fast. Alright, this is the last boss. Yeah, his hitbox is huge when he swings, so sometimes he just gets you. Alright, that's Turtles 3. Mike does way more damage with his special than all the other turtles, so he just annihilates the last two bosses. Alright, well I'm happy with that too. 35 is a really good time. So a 26 and a 35 in a marathon is quite good. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for watching about an hour's worth of Turtles. We have Mario 3 up now, so that should be fun.